so sorry. We will need to postpone the meeting to tomorrow. Please inform everyone. Thank you, thank you. Oh, hi! You're here! Oops, sorry. We need to slow it down a little bit because we're in the library. Anyway, you're on time! We're here to talk about leadership and management, yes? Okay, good. Before that, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Hydrin Natasha, the principal of SMK Warnasari. And welcome, everyone! Let's get started. Concepts of leadership, management, and administration always overlap and have been given different emphasis over time according to different settings or different contexts. Now, we know that the keys to effective school across the world are led and managed by successful and great head teachers and staff. Having both leadership and management in balance will create a successful school development. Now, let's first dive into the definition and importance of leadership and management on the next slide. Leadership is an essential part of an effective management which helps to maximize efficiency and to achieve organizational goals. As a crucial component of management, remarkable leadership behavior stresses upon building an environment in which each and every employee develops and excels. So why is leadership so important? First of all, it's because it is important that someone leads through teaching and learning. For a school leader to be successful in their role, they need to lead the way in driving teaching and learning outcomes first and foremost. This involves setting expectations about the school's learning practices and ensuring the organization's values and behaviors underpin a focus on improving students' performance. And secondly, it is very important to develop oneself and others. Good school leadership should have a strong focus on continued professional development. Leaders within schools or principals should work with staff to understand their personal development needs and skills as well as knowledge gaps. This can help to create a culture of empowered, self-directed learning and responsibility. Thirdly, promoting positive change in school environments. With the education space evolving rapidly, it's essential for leaders in schools to be open to innovation and change and to drive new initiatives through the school environment. Now let's find out what management is on this slide. To me, school management provides systems or processes that have become an essential need for every school to operate. Management means running the school in accordance with the guidelines, the law, and the regulations. And it is no doubt that it holds so many crucial functions to ensure that the school management runs smoothly. So, why is it very important that the management in schools runs smoothly or effectively? Firstly, we'll be able to adopt an effective classroom management. Classroom management refers to addressing the problem of overcrowding in learning rooms, or as we call it, classrooms. School administrators are responsible to ensure that they collect accurate data that is efficient in spreading students and teachers proportionately. This will allow school administrators to organize classrooms by assigning teachers who take responsibility for specified classes. Such administrative strategy helps in limiting the students in class by allowing an administrator to add students and enhance classroom organization. We also find that our measures of management quality are strongly correlated with students' performance. Hence, a good and effective management will help students. Secondly, it is important because it promotes a stress-free student environment. School management must develop a stress-free culture. An effectively organized school incorporates interactive activities that improve teaching and overall management. Administrators must strive to build a lively learning environment that enhance academic management of school policies. Activities such as mind games or motivational talks and speeches and entertainment seminars help build a lively school community. And thirdly, we will be able to manage and evaluate our staff or teachers and discipline students to form a greater management system. They contribute to the overall student achievement and discipline levels. For instance, underqualified teachers can contribute to creating an uncontrolled environment that can frustrate school management efforts. Therefore, it is essential to invest in developing a team of qualified teachers who can raise the standards of an institution. What happens if the organizations are overmanaged or underled, you may ask? Well, they'll most probably would not perform up to the benchmark. Because remember, leadership accompanied by management sets a new direction and makes efficient use of resources to achieve it. Both leadership and management are equally essential for the school community as well as organizational success.
One, two, three. Hi, I'm Miss Aina, your physical education teacher slash coach. So for today, unfortunately, we are not going to run laps or play in the field. Instead, we will learn about the different types of leadership styles. I will present three different types of leadership styles. The first leadership style is instructional, followed by transactional, and lastly, transformational. Before we start, why do we need to be knowledgeable on the different types of leadership styles? Well, I have just the explanation for you. So imagine being in an administrative position in school. Being knowledgeable on the different types of leadership styles can improve the quality of your leadership as a whole because you would know how to employ a certain style based on the target objectives. Next, if you're in a position where you are administered, knowing the different styles of leadership makes you more open for adaptability of the style your superior chose to employ. This will ensure a smooth management flow in your place of work, which in my situation is my beloved SMK Warnasari. Lastly, knowing about this helps both parties build a positive school culture where teachers and administrators work together to achieve the target objectives together. Leadership plays an integral role in building positive school culture. When you step into a school, the culture of the school is immediately evident and is a major indicator of the efficiency of the school. The first type of leadership we will learn today is instructional. Planning, evaluating, coordinating, and improving teaching and learning are all part of instructional leadership. Teachers and students benefit from instructional leaders who establish the school's objective, oversee the instructional program, and encourage high expectation and give rewards. Instructional leaders work directly with teachers to evaluate their performance and provide mentorship and coaching to help them enhance their skills. To become an instructional leader, you must spend time addressing pedagogical issues, taking action to improve instructors' instruction, and holding teachers accountable for their instructional skills. This quest to increase learning within the school community necessitates that school leaders have a thorough understanding of pedagogy and practice. Next, transactional leadership. In transactional leadership, rewards and punishment are tied to the follower's performance. The relationship between administrators and teachers is viewed by the leader as an exchange. You give me something in exchange for something in return. Subordinates are rewarded when they do successfully. They will be penalized in some way if they perform poorly. In transactional leadership, rules, procedures, and standards are critical. The main component of the transactional leadership is control, exchange, and reward. Control is maintained throughout the whole process. As I said before, it is like an exchange. When one party manages to give the desired outcome, the other party gives reward. According to Bass 1997, transactional leaders try to maintain existing structures of organization. Lastly, we will learn about transformational leadership style. The transformational leaders use a collaborative approach to empower their school teams to participate in decision-making processes and define joint goals. These leaders foster a culture of innovation and progress as well as a shared sense of purpose by setting an example. This lays the groundwork for future growth and success. They are able to influence school outcomes by outlining high performance expectations, developing people through individual support, building productive relationships, and providing instructional support. According to researcher Bernard Bass, there are four characteristics of transformative leadership. The first one is idealized influence, inspiring motivation, intellectual stimulation, and lastly, personalized concern. Transformational leaders encourage teacher motivation, morale, and performance through instilling trust, admiration, loyalty, and respect. Transformational leaders' influence has been described as the generation of feelings. Transformational leaders use charisma, compassion, and emotional intelligence to monitor and regulate not only their own feelings but also the emotions of others. Before I end this presentation, I would like to quote Bass again, who emphasizes that leaders must also have a foundation of transactional leadership skills before perfecting the art of transformational leadership. It is the process of always improving oneself. Leithwood and Son also added that researchers have found that there is a need for integrated models of leadership. All in all, different types of leadership styles can be effectively integrated in order to maximize the human resource potential of school administration. Thank you.
Hi friends! So right now we are in the school canteen in SMK Warnasari. I am Miss Hamiza, and during my free period, me and some other teachers will get breakfast at the school canteen and talk about our problems. Those of you who don't know, I am a novice teacher myself, and I often ask questions to other teachers who've taught longer than me. Now you might ask, what is a novice teacher? Well, to give you a simple answer, a novice teacher is someone who is teaching for the first time. However, there is no consensus on how many years of teaching are required to end a novice stage. But anyone with less than 2 years of experience as a teacher can be considered as a novice teacher. So, I will be sharing with you the 3 main issues that novice teachers, like me, face in school, which includes efficacy, professional quality, and class management. Let's move on to the next slide, shall we? Efficacy. What is it and what does it have to do with teachers? Well, efficacy refers to the ability to produce a desired or intended results. When novice teachers are teaching for the first time, it involves the transitioning from being a student to becoming a teacher, and this requires them to redesign their self-efficacy and professional identity. Imagine being a student for many, many years, and one day you wake up, you're on the other side of the classroom. So, it is common for novice teachers to struggle or even fail during their early years. I know I did. Although we may possess sufficient knowledge from theoretical classes and pre-service teacher education, you cannot beat experience. Teaching experience is a major contributing factor for teachers to achieve a successful lesson. So what a lot of novice teachers lack is that advanced skills that can only be acquired with years and years of teaching experience. For example, novice teachers can't predict where in the syllabus the students might have difficulty understanding. So consequently, we struggle to make effective decisions around prioritizing content coverage. Also, planning lesson content can be so time-consuming for us because there are a lot more lesson characteristics that needs to be considered, such as timing, scope, pacing, instructional and behavioral management concerns, sequencing activities. All of these things take practice. And then the pandemic hit. So novice teachers were faced with a new set of challenges. We've been asked to be involved in decision making and problem solving using new online pedagogical knowledge without support from experienced teachers. Going through big changes such as this requires self-efficacy and external support from the school. Without these things, novice teachers have been struggling to cope. But thankfully, it's not forever. Low efficacy is one of the issues that novice teachers face, but with time, it can be improved and built through trial and error, support, feedback, and a lot of reflections. Since we've talked about teachers' efficacy, we have to talk about their professional identity, because continuing to develop professionally as a teacher will help with their success. Personally, I struggle with this a lot. I always think, do I lack experience or do I lack the competency to become a good teacher? I was curious, so I read through some studies online, and several reported that there is a gap between theoretical knowledge and practice in class. So they feel incompetent despite the teacher preparation that they have completed. Although pre-service education has helped them to determine their approaches and implications in teaching, there seems to be a disconnect between what they have studied and what they actually experience in school. And this is due to the overwhelming realities of a classroom on top of adjusting to new surroundings. You know what ends up happening? Novice teachers imitate the practices of experienced teachers to be recognized as competent. The issue that I have with this is that it doesn't allow room for novice teachers to grow as their own. But what it does allow is the collaboration between novice teachers and expert teachers and create a mentor-mentee relationship. So not all bad. Building a good rapport with other teachers is one of the ways to develop a positive professional identity. Although most of the time, it only happens in an informal manner. Workshops, seminars, courses, and conference has become a predominant forms of professional development practices in Malaysia, which rarely values the collaboration among teachers. Therefore, for novice teachers, alternative professional development such as teacher inquiry seminars, peer coaching, teacher study groups, and cooperative development can provide them with a self-directed, collaborative, inquiry-based learning that recognizes teachers' social and professional networks. Did you know that teachers' professional identities are also affected by students? According to past studies, students significantly influence teachers' professional identities either positively or negatively. For this reason, novice teachers face challenges when it comes to classroom management. This is an issue that even senior teachers are still facing with their students. So for novice teachers, this will feel like a huge obstacle to overcome. The problems include students ignoring teachers' instruction, students not respecting teachers, low motivation during lessons, and so much other specific instances that can discourage novice teachers. For example, in the movie To Serve With Love, which I'm sure our friends who are watching right now have seen before, the new teacher fails to gain respect from the students, and some of the teachers in that school even gave up on them. But what we can learn from this new teacher is that he got to know the students, found some common ground, and built a connection with them. Now, in reality, this is evidently not an easy thing to do, and for novice teachers, it takes perseverance, time, effort, a lot of advice, and support from other teachers. Most importantly, this is where teaching strategies demonstrate its importance. In one of the studies that I read, the researchers mentioned that the novice teachers in their study did not apply appropriate teaching strategies and did not recognize its importance. I'm going to say pretty relatable. But this proves the disconnect between the theoretical knowledge and practice in the previous slide that I've mentioned before. They can name 10 theories off the top of their head, but they don't necessarily know how to apply them correctly in a real teaching context. So implementing the correct teaching strategy with the help of experienced teachers help novice teachers cater to students with different needs. However, pandemic again. In the past 2 years, novice teachers and senior teachers alike were challenged with online classes where students can choose to turn off their camera and not participate, and some not even attending the video meeting. This makes it impossible for class management to take place because teachers have no control over what happens on the other side of the camera, and this continues to be a work in progress for Malaysian teachers, especially novice teachers. Now, let's see what Miss Azalia is up to in the music room. I'm curious.
Hi there, Miss Azalia here. Welcome to the music studio. But today we are not going to talk about music. We will be talking about issues, school management issues. So as future teachers, it is central for us to know what are the common school management problems taking place at schools. And once we have become teachers, there's a high possibility that we will be encountering these issues one on one, and we will be involved in it one way or another. With that being said, before you guys become a teacher, I will help you to familiarize yourselves with these problems. I will be spilling some tea about the issues taking place in another schools as well as in our very own school, SMK Warnasari. The school management issues that I will be talking about are: first, we have leadership issues, and then PIBG issues, and finally, I will be talking about financial issues. Without further ado, let's move on to our next slide. The first issue that we have is leadership. So, problems in educational administration, they often stem from lack of leadership. School administrators, they are teachers who have worked hard to qualify for their positions, and they have many years of experience. But the thing is, experience does not necessarily qualify one to be a leader. And being school administrators, one of the biggest challenge for them is that they need to adhere to policies, to circulars, even if they do not necessarily agree with them. But I think a good leader is someone who can compromise without sacrificing the integrity of the system. But of course, this is easier said than done. When school administrators are not on a good term with the teachers, one of the aspects that is most dampened or most affected is communication. As a result, confusion happens when administrators do not have like a regular or an open line of communication with the teaching staff. Next slide. This is an excerpt of an issue involving this one school in which all of the teachers claim that they have been manipulated by those who have the upper hand, basically the school administrators. In accordance of the circular or the pakaliling given out by the government following the movement restriction orders, schools are supposed to conduct the online co-curricular meetings 15 times throughout the whole year. But nevertheless, this one school decided to breach the circular, and teachers of that school were forced to carry out the co-curricular meetings weekly through Google Meet. And these teachers, at the same time, they have to carry out the PDPR sessions as well. Because of that, they felt overwhelmed, they were overburdened with the amount of tasks on their shoulders. So this is an example of a leadership issue involving the school administrators manipulating the school teachers. Let's move on to our second issue, which is the PIBG. I'm sure that all of us here are familiar with PIBG, right? It stands for? Yes, Persatuan Ibu Bapa dan Guru, or in English we call it the Parents and Teachers Association, PTA for short. Normally, problems will arise when there is a difference in opinion between the PIBG and schools. Conflicts and constraints also arise when schools are expected to meet the demands of the PIBG, when the PIBG itself does not even understand the condition of the school under its umbrella. There is also issues where the PIBG does not support and give cooperation to the school activities. Instead, they protest the decisions made by the school. Let's hop on to our next slide to see an excerpt of the said issue. This is an excerpt of an issue involving the school and the PIBG. The Ministry of Education has outlined that the PIBG fees are no longer compulsory. Instead of having PIBG fees, we now have PIBG funds. Long story short, there's this teacher from this one school who decided to come forward to voice out his grouses or his complaints about the PIBG association of his school, which decided to boycott the school on the basis that the teachers manipulate the PIBG funds. As a teacher, I am offended, and I'm sure that other teachers feel the same way as well, because the truth is that sometimes teachers need to use their own money. For example, when preparing for teaching materials or decorating the class, or as we call it, keceriaan class, or when the children of these parents who boycott the school, when their children do not have enough money or forget to bring their own pocket money to school to eat. So this is an example of an issue involving the school and the stakeholder of the school, which is the PIBG. The final issue that I would like to highlight, which is also related to the PIBG issue just now, is the issue of financial resources. Sometimes the money that should have been received from the government is slow to enter the school's account, causing limited financial resources. And this delay is very difficult for the school, especially when schools want to send out their students for an out-of-school activities or competitions at the zonal, district, or state level. And teachers also need to use this funding for their teaching materials. Therefore, when funding is lacking, teaching and learning is also hampered as well. So that's all from me. Thank you for coming to my Tea Talk, in which we have discussed 3 hot issues involving school management. My students are waiting outside for the next class. I'll pass the screen to Hazrin. Bye-bye.
School principals are confronted with a variety of issues, from handling irate parents to comforting or supporting overwhelmed teachers as they provide leadership and organization to their schools. How principals react to these issues to a great extent determines their success or failure as school administrator. Now, keep in mind that my suggestions of solution may or may not be an answer to the problems mentioned by Azza, but you can always consider it. As for the first issue, I personally think that broadening staff participation in decision-making processes could be the answer. First of all, among all parents and teachers and policymakers who work hard to improve education, educators in leadership positions are uniquely well positioned to lead and manage any issues and those affected by them. While teachers should build their strong leadership, they also depend on the principal's ability to manage routine day-to-day organizational tasks. When teachers' expectations are not met, this is when concern about the principal's capabilities comes in or surface. As we all know, principals carry enormous responsibilities. They have the power to improve the teaching and learning process indirectly, as well as impactfully through their influence on staff motivation, commitment, and working conditions. So to me, there is no other way to resolve this issue unless the school principal tries to broaden staff participation in the decision-making process. This is to make space for teachers and staff and administrators to get together to create a shared vision and come up with strategic plans for the school so that it motivates the staff and others to help together improve the community. After all, teachers are vital components in the educational process, and without teachers, whatever is planned in education cannot be achieved. Now, let's take a look on the next issue and see if we could figure out a solution. I'm afraid that this issue is sadly still going around until today, hence why we didn't receive as much fund as we used to help improve the quality of education and infrastructure for the students. So, provided that the funds given by the government is generally very limited and increasingly tight. As a matter of fact, it's no secret that teachers usually have to carve out part of their paychecks to buy the resources students need. Teachers will often purchase supplemental materials to help students struggling to grasp the curriculum. These additional resources are not always subsidized by schools. I totally understand if parents have concerns about the school putting the donated money to put into wrong use, like the school using them for our annual fees, for the teachers' annual fees, etc. But one thing you need to know is that there are special provisions for the use of teachers, including their year-end banquets, given by the government. Hence, I can guarantee you that the funds received from the parents will be used wholly for the purpose of education and welfare of the students in school. So imagine the number of lives you could change and improve if you could help students in education, in donating for their education. What schools can do to convince parents that it is truly safe to make voluntary donations is by first auditing the incoming and outgoing funds and present the data or the information to parents at the Parent-Teacher Association meeting, a general meeting. So let's move on to the third issue and think of a solution for the third problem, shall we? When it comes to planning your school fundraiser or festival, look for community involvement. This can be in the form of financial donations or also by involving local businesses. One of the few samples that I could give you is that schools could probably host activities or carnivals like competition or show sales. Get students from a certain clubs, from the co-curriculum clubs, to hold a talent competition or drama shows with the objective to raise funds. Selling admission tickets is a great way to cover startup costs, and maybe sell more tickets by offering early purchases, a discount to get people to be committed to attending your event. For example, Warnasari Got Talent, and then you'll have to charge people with entrance fees. Or any other options like Hari Canteen or Food Truck Carnival. We had food truck carnivals where we opened the school for a week for the outsiders who want to sell their foods, but of course the vendors will be charged with an exhibitor fee. Food trucks are a great addition, not only as part of a great marketing strategy, but an addition to school food service, both from a way to engage the students and a way to engage the community. So you'll support the community, local economy, and small businesses by including food trucks at your festival, as well as boosting your finance. So a food truck can easily be part of your goal to support family and student involvement as well as fundraising. So we've come to an end. I hope you've learned something from this presentation under the leadership and management scope. Now, just to wrap up, principals have a key role to play in setting direction and create a positive school culture, including the proactive school mindset. A good leadership and management system will help to support and enhance staff motivation and commitment needed to foster improvement and promote successful schools in challenging circumstances. That is all from us. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for watching.